Hey guys, welcome back to the missing half. We are excited today. I'm Denise,
And I'm Beth.
and we have a new face on the screen today that we want to introduce you guys to. We hope that you will help us welcome my friend and fellow sister in the Lord, Traci Joe Calvert. So, welcome.
Hello.
We're so
Um,
happy to have you. Thank you, Traci, for being here with us.
Thank you.
yes, yes.
I'm honored. Thank you.
We are honored to have you here. Traci is one of those. Gordon and I were talking about Traci, and I told him that she was going to be on our podcast, and he was excited. And because when I think of Traci, I think about the pink and the sparkles. And Traci has a genuine childlike character about her. She has a quality that her calling is to the children of the world. She speaks the language of the lambs. I think about with Traci, Jesus said, to Peter, he said, feed my sheep. And then he said, feed my lambs.
Yeah.
And Traci is one that certainly the Lord gives bread to, and she feeds his lambs. And so it's a holy calling. It's such an amazing journey to watch how her life over the last, gosh, I've known you.
How old is Hunter? He was just a little guy.
Oh, yeah, that's true. My grandson, he's married now and just had his 24th birthday.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, 20 years?
Yeah, I started let's see, 2008. So, yeah.
2008, we moved to Missouri.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
look at there.
18 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It
A
has.
long time. But when we first met you, you were a children's pastor at the church. And we just, I want to hear, Traci, because your story is fascinating of the paths and the seasons that God has brought you through, and how you have, in each season, you have become more like him. You've portrayed him better and brighter and kind of with more illumination to the world. You're just such a, everybody wants to be a Traci when they grow up, just to be vivacious and the exclamation points of the world, right? I think I'm more of a question mark. I'm always why? And Traci's an exclamation point. She lives very openly, very boldly, but just such a sweet, compassionate, tender, loyal heart. So
Thank you.
now you get to follow that, right? I do. I want to hear your story, Traci. I want you to kind of walk us through, what you're comfortable telling us. What was your transformation story? How did you come to know the Lord?
Okay. Yeah. I met my husband in a club, and within a year of our meeting, we were married. And a year and a day later, we had our first baby. And we both were doing our own thing, following our own way. 2 years later, we had our second baby. And then we moved into the house I'm living in. It was supposed to be our first home. And with our two daughters away from family, the year I moved to Kansas City, my family moved down to Texas. And so I had my husband's family, but I felt alone. I went to a park with an almost 1-year-old, almost 3-year-old. And the joke is I met Hope in the park. I quite literally met a woman named Hope with a daughter or two daughters, both of my daughter's age. And I just said, hey, what do young moms do here? Because I don't know anybody and I would like to. And she invited me to church.
Wow.
And the first time I stepped foot in the doors was a kids event. There was a family that did traveling evangelism. So it's like the Lord's like, ba-doop, just mark this day. That was super awesome. The family was very dynamic and wonderful. And then I went to church that next Sunday, and I remember leaving. Okay, I'm staying here. This will be my church. And I connected with the pastor at the door, and I told him that. I think the next weekend, my husband and I were just talking about it last night. And he said, I think maybe the first time he went was the day of a big church picnic. And so we went to church together, went to a church picnic. I remember very clearly in the second row in the center. And I don't think it was a salvation message. I don't think he said, if you would like to receive Jesus, come forward. I don't think it was that kind of ending. It was, if you would like to come forward for prayer. And I knew Holy Spirit was like, it's time. And I ran forward and I was like, okay, my life's yours, God. Whatever you want to do with me. Started serving. I had daughters that were young. So I'm like, I'll serve in the nursery. Sure. They needed help. Okay. And I'm trying to think, it was a few years of that, just saying, yeah, I'll serve wherever you need me. I'll be there. And they needed someone on a Sunday night to lead a preschool class. And preschool is my jam. Those are the funnest aged kids. At the time, I'm like, I could never do anything else. Like, these kids are cool. And so I did that. One night I had a dream. Like, God has spoken very often to me in dreams. Actually, in the past, it's been more dreams. Now it's more directly through his word, which is pretty cool. But I had a dream one night and I said, or in my dream, the current children's pastor asked me to be the kids pastor. She said, hey, would you want to be the kids pastor? I remember she had a baby and we were standing at a pool, and this was like in December. And I kind of laughed. I was like, oh, I do preschool. Like, in my dream, it was so clear. Her husband was in the pool with the baby and Sean and I were talking. And I just was like, ha, 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 so funny. Whew, woke up, it's a dream. But the next day I went and I spoke with our worship pastor, who was the brother-in-law to the kids pastor at the time, and him and his wife. And I said, I had the craziest dream last night, guys. Shared it. And he's leaning over the chair with his wife and said, it's very interesting that God allowed you to dream that. And his wife's bawling, because that's her sister. She was moving to California and no one had known it yet, but that's what she was doing. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was the name they were wrestling around with to say, that's who should do kids church now. And I was like, wow, okay, well, who am I to say no? Because if God is putting that in and this is already happening, okay, let's go. I remember meeting with a woman who was a Sunday school director. She kind of gave me some tips, showed me where the chocolate was in the hallway.
Good to know.
You got to have the chocolate. And that was kind of it. It was a Super Bowl Sunday. So almost, let's see, what is it? 2026. It was 2012. So Super Bowl Sunday of 2012 was my first Sunday ever to be in kids church. And wow, like, that was it. And it was hard because at first I'm like, man, these kids aren't preschoolers. Like, it's a little bit tricky, but oh my, I just love them. And when I look back I just, I love those kids so much. And I think back your grandson coming and visiting and just so many popper inners through the years. And so that was my entry into that season. Was I met Hope in the park. I said yes to Jesus. I said yes to serving, and he just kept calling me more and more. And then after I did it for a while, like I said, they were my really great friends, the worship pastor and his wife. And he said, I wonder, why don't you just go ahead and work through the schooling so you can get certified and licensed and ordained. And so I'm thinking, okay, my daughters are in elementary school. I have some free time. And I worked through just at home, the Global University Berean courses. Denise, you played a really big impact on my certification day. I don't even know if you remember that.
I don't.
But I was freaking out about the interview. Like, what if I'm not called? Like, what if I don't know all the answers? And you pulled me aside after Sunday school, right before kids church. And you said, do you feel like the Lord has called you to this? And I was like, well, yeah. And you're like, okay, then the Lord's called you to it. Who is man to say you're not called? And I was like, yep. And I went with confidence because I'm like, because you're Mama Denise. Like, that's how I've seen you. You've poured so much of that wisdom into my life. And that was a big moment. And it brought just that breath of confidence. So that was into that season. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I never have had a doubt that you have not been called. And it's amazing to see every time that you came up and God spoke something, you said yes. And then to watch where our yes takes us in the journey.
Yeah.
So, I want to, if you have something, you can pop in, Beth.
I
But
will.
oh, I just like to remind, because we're so shy and reserved here. Um, we, I know that you served as a youth pastor, as a children's pastor, not a youth pastor. Two totally different things. I remember
Yes.
you saying once, "Children are great. Youth make me sweat."
They're so scary. In bulk. In bulk.
In bulk.
Because
Yes,
they're bigger than me. I'm only 5'2". So
I know. And her husband. How tall is your husband?
6'5".
Yes. So it's
Oh my goodness.
There's quite a difference, but it's fun.
and I'm pretty sure that both of your daughters are taller than you now. So
Oh, yes. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
God made you even small like the little babies. But every child, they all in this whole county, all the children knew Pastor Traci.
Yeah.
So and now you're in a whole different season. You went into the school system and worked, working with children in every facet of life. And God opened up a door for you to start something new that you got to say yes to.
Yeah.
Walk us through that, what that looked like and felt like. And do you have a
Well, I
question?
was just going to say, before you jump there, tell us how long you were a children's pastor. I just love to know how long that tenure was before God moved you into the school system.
Yeah. So, well, I did both. So in 2012 is when I started technically just working with Children's Church.
Mhm.
I walked through the certification, the licensing as far as the schooling goes, and was ordained in 21. um, in 2020, we live in a different, I want to say city. It's not so much as we live in a different town than we went to church in. And so it was bigger. So COVID year, the school my daughters went to would have been, what did they call it? Hybrid. And so they would have only gone to school 2 days a week and had to do schooling at home. And so I was like, God, if you could open up for us to go into this other school, that would be great. And I applied to be a sub there. And I'm thinking, because subs are such a necessity after COVID, maybe that could work, but that wasn't. I am telling you, God opened up a 2 to 4:30 a kind of after school program for preschoolers, which again, that age is totally my jam. So I spoke with my friends who were also then my senior pastors, and I was telling them like it would give my girls an opportunity to come to the school, and I would just be working the afternoon. And they're like, "Why wouldn't you?" Yeah, do it. What a great way to get into the schools, to get my girls in the schools, and just I thought I knew just about everybody in that town, but I didn't. I started working at the school and there's so many families I didn't know. And I tell everyone it's a multifaceted gift that I got to be in there. And
Wow.
so, yeah, in 2020, I started in the afternoons. And then both of my girls got to graduate through this great school. And I got to work at the school. And in that time, I wanted to be careful to honor the system as far as professing my faith, although many children knew me as Miss Traci from, the church. They knew because of VBSs and fall festivals and just it being in the town. I love people, and so I try to do that. I got to know more families and connect with more families, and that was truly a gift. But I was just like, okay, how do I honor the system while still teaching about Jesus? And I remember praying about that one day, like, okay, God, how do I do this? How do I honor and share? And then he just was like, that my character, my person of Jesus is great, like his characteristics. And so I was thinking fruit of the Spirit. Like I shared earlier, like if a kid was really rough, like let's talk about gentleness. Like you are really strong, but show me gentle. And it's like, yeah, you have that power, but you can contain it. And so, show me rough on this hand, show me gentle on this hand. And we would practice that. Or, what could have been a answer that you did? What could have been something kind that you said instead of mean? And truly talking about all the characteristics of Jesus in that setting. But when anyone would bring up, like I got to be in a summer school setting, I got baptized. I got baptized at church. Like, let's talk about that. What does that mean to you? And then it would open up a conversation to all the kids. And then we'd suddenly be talking about baptism, and we'd be talking about, like anything, Jesus. And that's the goal for me. That's always the goal. How do we get the conversation moved to Jesus?
Amen.
And so with the caution, it's not so much caution, but the honoring that I want to try to honor as much as I can. Jesus shares it all and showed it all. You know what I mean? Like how he lived.
Amen.
That's everything. And we just mimic that. And then
Right.
we come to know the person of Jesus. So yeah. Yeah.
And so what that then led you into doing, just going with the fruits of the Spirit
Mm-hmm.
and the personality and characteristics of Jesus, teaching them to these children. Tell us about Molly and Lucy. Who are Molly and Lucy?
So they're my dogs. Molly, or Lucy, was actually, I don't know if you heard her, she was kind of mad at me and she was looking up at me. Um,
Oh,
Super funny story. So my husband is a man's man. Like he's a bow hunter, bear hunter, elk hunter, caribou. Like he is a man's man. And so we've always had man's dogs. And we had a bear. He was a ginormous German shepherd who was our protector, loved our bear. And I always wanted a little dog. The Wizard of Oz was always my favorite movie as a kid. I always wanted a
wow.
Toto, forever and always wanted a Toto. And I told Danny all throughout our whole marriage, oh, I want a little Yorkie dog, or I want a small dog because I just want to cuddle. A few years ago, Bear was getting older in years. And I just was telling Danny, I just would love small dogs. I just wish we had a small dog. I wish we had a small dog. I had a friend who had a litter of Maltese. So their mom was a Shih Tzu, their dad was a Maltese. And I was like, oh, Danny would never let me have these dogs, but maybe I can just come like cuddle them. And she said, come on over. You can cuddle with them. So I was like, yay. Danny we were scheduling it, I think is what happened. She's yelling at me right now.
I can hear her now.
This is like kind of bypassing, but I'm getting to it.
That's fine.
We had a Branson trip scheduled. And my husband's name is the same name as Dad. They have the exact same name. Danny's just the second.
Right.
And we had booked this trip, and the secretary at their company asked my father-in-law said he was watching Bear for the trip. And he looked at his, I don't know, maybe Outlook calendar and said, I can't be in Branson that week. I'm watching Bear. And canceled our trip. Just out from under us. We within 2 days before we were leaving, we're trying to find reservations. There's nothing. He accidentally canceled it. So I'm like, okay, well, now what? Well, I was like, well, maybe we can go look at this dog. So I really threw the pity card. I really threw that pity card. And Danny said, okay. So the four of us went over to my friend's house. And Emily said, why don't you just take one of them home and see how Bear will do? I was scared Bear would eat them. I didn't know. And so we went over, and I had chosen the one I wanted to try to see how Bear would be with it. And the little girl who was in kids church with me, I think I probably talked about her dogs. I saw them on Facebook all the time. I was like, we're going to, come over and see your dogs. And so she knew. And I'm holding Lucy, and this little girl looks up at Danny again, who's 6'5". And she said, do you want to hold one? And he said, no, I'm good. She goes, here. And he grabs Molly, who was only like 3.5 pounds at that point. And you could just see the smittenness just like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm really going to play this. We get in the car, have Lucy, and both of the girls are just super excited about it. I think my oldest was getting ready to start senior year, and then my other one was about ready to start sophomore year. And I think we had to stop and get gas or something. I remember stopping, and I was like, what if we got both? And he said, ask them how much for both. And I was like, what? And so we were locked in. I was like, well, what if Bear absolutely can't? And I'm just like praying the whole way home, please let Bear just not care. Let him be fine. But he was almost 10. He was sick. And so he cared, but he didn't have enough energy to care too much. And they just, I mean, seriously, 3 pounds. They were tiny
Right.
little things, right? And so in August, we got to bring them home, and we're all just in love with them. And Danny, this big burly hunting, he's a puddle with this Molly and Lucy. They're precious little dogs.
Yes.
Molly or Lucy always has a ponytail on her head. We always get her, when she gets groomed, she gets a ponytail. We used to do it for Molly, but Lucy pulls all her Molly's ponytails out. So Molly could never have a ponytail in her hair or pretties on her ears. Like, she just rips them out, and she wants to, I think, be the cute one.
So how do Molly and Lucy figure into what you're doing right now?
So I prayed over them when we got them, and I was like, God, just let them share your joy. I just want them to be joy bringers everywhere they go. I want conversation starters. Like, God, use Molly and Lucy for your kingdom, whatever that looks like. And I was thinking incredibly small at first, because I would take them with me almost every Wednesday. They got to be guest visitors in our kids' church on Wednesday nights. They were very popular within kids' church because I had them, I talked about them, I showed pictures. And so I just remember praying that they would be joy bringers to to kids. Like, whatever. Because they catch your attention because they're adorable. They're twin sisters, and it's just fun.
Right.
I was last year, so January 21 was a really difficult, or 21, where are we? January 25 was a really tricky year for my family. And I know, like, kind of in the fallish, the Lord was kind of like, write some books, write stories. And I'm just thinking, I can write, but I can't draw. And if I'm supposed to write books for kids, there's zero equaling there. I don't know what to do with that one. And so January came. My oldest daughter is an incredible drawer. She's an incredible artist. Both of my girls actually are great artists. They really are. My oldest daughter is also a great writer. She is such a great writer. And so I asked her if she would want to help, and it just wasn't the right time.
Right.
Like, no, but I'm thinking, but I know I'm supposed to write books. I know. And I had it locked in. I was like, we'll talk about the fruit of the spirit. Like, well, I don't know what that's going to look like. So in January, that really just started. I mean, there's just information overload here, but no way to push out that information. But it's like God's downloading.
Right.
And so as I just was trying to say yes, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I saw this stupid TikTok trend about what would your dogs look like as humans? And I just remember thinking, oh, they would be adorable. And so I went on the trend, and they were adorable. They actually look like a couple of sisters that I've known in kids' church. I sent it to their mom. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like your daughters. It's like, this is Molly and Lucy in human form. And then I know for sure the Holy Spirit just downloaded, like, hey, what would they look like as book characters? I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know anything about AI. I don't know. I just heard you can't touch it. Don't touch AI. Don't touch AI. But I'm thinking, it's like everything. Use it for good. Don't use it for evil. And so I'm like, I'm trying to generate pictures of cute dogs for Jesus books. Like, I'm trying to use it for good. So that was where I kind of landed with that. There was not ever any conviction as far as that. So I put them in as book characters, and they were perfect. Like, anything that I would think of, it was like God said, see, I will provide everything. Just keep following. I told my husband, and I kind of kept it close because it's just such a tricky year last year. And so I kept it really close. I think I shared it with 3 people. Like, I'm going to write books. I'm going to write books about Molly and Lucy, the adventures that they've gone on. So every book is a place that they have been with me. And then of course you add the fiction, and then the dynamic of the character of Jesus. So back in 2020, when I'm starting the school stuff, how do I talk about you, Jesus? Hey, talk about my characteristics. How about the fruit? And then it just, it all, like, I don't know, like sometimes you pop open books, and then all of a sudden you turn the page and there's this whole thing here.
Right.
That's almost what happened in that moment. I told my husband, of course, and he's like, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Because he knew I'd been really struggling with some things. And so it just gave me a dream again. I don't know. It just gave me a dream again. I know God wanted me to do it. I know he downloaded it. And because I had gone through such a fog in just ministry season, personal things, that it almost felt like this illumination of dreaming again. And I remember feeling like, okay, like it's been hard. It won't always be. And God, I'm just going to keep stepping into your obedience.
Amen.
And there were a few times at the beginning of January, I remember thinking, actually, let me backtrack to December. The Lord told me to go into a 40-day fast, January 2025, starting January 1, go into a 40-day fast. And I'm like, okay, what do I fast? Because, January 1, everybody chooses to diet, So I'm like, okay, God, what am I going to fast? And he said, you are going to fast unnecessary spending. And so I'm like, okay, because it's easy to pick up your phone and shop when you're not feeling it. That's my cope. That's how I
Right.
cope, is I shop.
Right.
And that's what the Lord told me. He knew January 1 was going to be incredibly hard. And so I totally just leaned into him. And I did this Bible, 40 Days Through the Bible with Lisa Turkhurst. And
Right.
it's all longings. It's longings. And that's what he says, longing. You have a longing for freedom, a longing for security, a longing for, I can't think all of them right now, but it was 8 weeks. And I
Right.
spent 8 weeks with God, leaning in. And I really, truly believe with that time of prayer and fasting, and anytime I picked up my phone to start shopping, I would be, and I'd go back to prayer. And I truly sat with the Lord for 40 days. And then all of this time, it's like download. So when I finally shared, I sat down at my computer, I opened up just Word, and I just started typing on a day not so long ago. We find Molly and Lucy, and just like their patterns, their character, the places that they've been, meeting new characters. So we had just gotten ducks. Danny told Jocelyn she could get ducks. We don't have birds like that. We had ducks and chickens. So then the Lord's like, write those into your book. So all of these things, like God is just like, ba-doop, 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 ba-doop.
So he
I
gave
wanted,
you the storyline with the fruit. He gave you all of the characters. He dropped them into your life.
yeah,
Now he's downloading and telling you all of this is going to be in a book. And the book is directed at the children. So the children's pastor in a new season is now speaking in a new way, but it's the same way, just in a different method to the children.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Can I just say, won't he do it? I mean,
Won't he?
I love how God, if we'll let him.
Yes.
Look what he did. That's incredible, Traci.
It's incredible. Yeah, won't he do it? Won't he do it? And in the background of my life, he was calling me out of ministry, like there at the specific church I was at. For a very long time, I know very personally. I would tell the children this almost every Sunday in kids' church. Almost every Sunday in kids' church. Kids' church is great. Faith at home is best. And so I'm happy you're here, but it is faith at home that really grows. And so I wanted so badly, like, how do I get into the homes of every family to just help that click? Like conversations at home, questions at home, time at home. Like, how do we make it click? I went to a conference last year, and at that conference, the keynote speaker for children talked about a quiet time, that he tries to create this quiet space for kids. And so I started modeling that, because kids are hungry. They don't know what they're hungry for, but when they find it, they're satisfied. And that answer is Jesus and quieting in Jesus. And I don't remember what I had watched, but had talked about, it was David. It might have been David. So it had to have been in the spring, maybe, when I started praying specifically this way with them, like leading them. Like David's mom in that Amazon show, whatever that one is, House of David, the little his mom said, as deep calls to deep. And it's like, and he's like, I don't hear him, Mom. And she's like, just quiet yourself, And so we started practicing that. And I would always, let me preface, I thought I would die at that church. I thought I would be 80 with pink hair, and I would just be the preschool pastor for the rest of my days there. Like, I had it locked in my head. That's what it was. Those were my plans, not God's plans, but that's what I always wanted.
Right. We
So
all
back
think
in
that, don't we? That we've arrived and we're going to stay there and be comfortable forever.
forever, but God's like, let's take,
God brought you into the church, gave you the message for the church, then took the message of the church into the school, and now he's taking the message of the church and the school into the family,
yeah,
into the homes.
and that's the most important place. That's just the
Yeah.
most important place.
Yeah.
And I love the church. The new church that we're attending, I am thankfully like serving in the new church that we're attending in in one of the kids' ages. And so I believe in the church. We
Right.
need the church.
Absolutely.
The community, we need that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's home. And so exiting the season I was in, the kids would say, "Why are you leaving, Miss Traci? Why are you leaving, Miss Traci?" And I said, "Guys, remember what we started praying in February when we quieted ourselves, and at the end, essentially Isaiah 6, here I am, send me.
Send me, Lord.
I'll go where you want me to go. I'll stay where you want me to stay. I'll do what you want me to do."
Amen.
And so it's like God had already even started then, like helping me explain to the children, I'm not leaving you. I'm listening to the Lord. And
Right.
that's what, because it's not about me.
Right.
It's about Jesus, and it's about helping create this space at home. And it gave me room. So I started writing this book. I know I totally bypassed, but book 1, it downloaded in Word. Here's this whole book. And I don't know how. So I know the Lord's like, I'm not requiring perfection. Just go. So the verse in Zechariah, I can't ever remember the reference, but do not despise the days of small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, so because AI is weird and inconsistent, I put these books out with inconsistencies. The words were fine, but the illustrations were wonky-ish, not what I had thought it would be, but I was okay with it because it had the Berenstain Bear fills. That those were my jam books when I was younger. I loved the Berenstain Bears. And so it kind of had that feel.
Right.
But I never was 100% satisfied, but God was like, just next thing, next thing, next thing. So I just did. And before school was out, my daughter graduated this year. Before school was out, my daughter graduated. I think I had 3 books out. And my husband was like, I thought you were thinking a book a year, Traci. What are you doing? I'm like, it's God. I don't know. It's just here, and here it is. I don't know, honey. And they're through Amazon. So it's Kindle Direct Publishing. So it's self-published. So it's not that I know that there's mistakes, but I know God's like, I'm not requiring perfection. At that time, he was like, just go, just trust me. And so I'm like, okay. Now I feel like I'm at a place where the Lord's like, okay, now work on it. You have some more time, like try to get them consistent. And now it's like kind of working more towards let's getting them polished. So I'm not striving for perfection, but let's work on the polishing. And now he's kind of working. My first 4 books have new illustrations that look way better, more consistent, but it's just weird.
But he's leading in every step.
Every step.
All along the way. He's leading.
Yeah. And
I love that.
It's wowing. That's the only way I can say it. It's just wow. Yeah.
Faithful is he who has called you, and he will do it.
Yeah. He
He
will.
just requires us to say, okay, do it through me. Do it. Let me go on this journey with you. I love that.
Yeah.
Traci, I think hearing your story, and this is all new to me because I've just met Traci today, and I just love you. But I think your story is a beautiful example to any of you listening today. Listen, understand this is a beautiful example of what God can do with our yes. When we say, you know what, I mean, you said yes in on that playground, in that park. You found hope in a playground, and
yeah.
And I mean, just how God orchestrates our steps so beautifully when we just give him room to do that. I'm so moved by this example of what our yes do in the kingdom.
Yeah.
And the fact that this was not left up to chance, you didn't have to wonder or worry. It was the natural inclination of your heart. The
Mhm.
fact that all of this began to unfold on a playground where you find the children, I mean, your calling was always right. I mean, you were stumbling over it, right?
Yeah.
And so when we fall, it's like we have this in our minds sometimes that it's so hard to just say yes to God and to follow Him. And yet your testimony is the exact opposite of that. It may not have always been easy to say yes, but it was always easy to see that next step, wasn't it? Now
It's just illuminate. Yeah, just God
yes,
illuminate it. Just illuminate. Because that's where I'm at right now is I'm in wilderness. I don't, I mean, I sub at a homeschool academy on Tuesday, a long term. But I don't have a job right now. I mean, I stepped away from the ministry in August. Um, the Lord, this is weird because I'm not a techie person. And if you would ask anybody, I used to tell people, give me people all the time. Like working on a computer sucks the life out of me. Like I feel like it just my whole life is coming into. And I'm super dramatic. I know Denise knows that. I don't know if you caught that, Beth. But
Beth and
that's
I
the
are
goal.
feeling your pain.
Just give me
That's
the
true.
people. I would rather go out and be with people.
Yeah.
But God was like, okay, start a website to get some free resources out to people. And I'm like, oh, what? I can't do a website. I don't even like sitting in front of a computer like that. I am not even kidding. He walked right alongside of me, and I have a website, which is crazy. And again, it's not like, you're not going to catch it on top 5 of anything in the United States, probably because it's
You
very
don't know
simple.
that.
I mean, just based on my expertise of it, I have no idea. God can do anything He wants. I'm just saying, in my own ability, it is very, elementary and basic. I'm going to say basic. But I know God was like, give parents an around the table conversation. And so I have devotions there's a tab for around the table where there's options, there's conversations, and then questions. Um, Coloring pages, which oh my goodness, my kids loved to color when they were younger, and I loved coloring with them. Like, just what a great time.
Mhm.
Bookmarks I've thrown up there. And then, crafts. So then I threw in like a Pinterest link, like, now do this with your family, like just trying to create moments in homes, which was my heart years
Yes.
ago. How do you create that? And now it's like, oh, through a website. And
Well,
now there's these spots.
I'm gonna interject something here. I think I can already see Beth agreeing with me on this because you prefaced all of this talking about your website that you stepped out of ministry for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you've stepped out of ministry. Your ministry just shifted.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing, Denise.
I knew you were. I was just wanting to say it before you did. Uh, but because I can see a gradual progression of God giving you the hope on the playground, then sharing that hope in the church with the children, getting a kind of a name for yourself as someone connected with the children in the community. Then putting you, the next step was in the proximity of the children, right? In the school, created. I want to make sure that our followers do not miss any of this story. God created a place for you, a time slot for you that perfectly allowed you to be in your pastoral position while at the same time opening that door into the school position.
Mhm.
He created a new place that didn't exist before just for you to step into because he wanted you to connect there with how do you reach the families? Through the children.
Through the children.
His goal on that playground, Traci,
Mhm.
was to get you into those families and to get you into their homes, to get you at that dinner table, to get you at that Saturday morning. What are we going to do today, kids? And God used you because He said, my girl will say yes. Once I get her and she gets me, she's going to say yes.
And you know what? A lot of people don't. Not everyone says yes.
Right.
And listen, this I want to just encourage our listeners. If you're listening today and you have said no to the Lord because you felt like, much like Moses, who am I? And or David, I'm the youngest, I'm the most inexperienced. Look at Traci, and she's married to Goliath. I mean, come on.
You were talking about Bear, and I remember one of the videos. Remember of Danny when he went out to get Bear, and it was in the ice, and Danny's falling all over the ice, and I remember that. I remember Traci being a little afraid. I don't know if I should be here or not, but yet my answer is still yes, God. And I just don't know if I can do this children's pastor, but my yes is still yes, God.
Yeah.
And look where that yes has taken you. And your yes now has not only blessed you, but it's changed the lives of children in a school, in a community. And now it's reaching the world. I want to ask you, you started out God downloading a book. And since you stepped out of ministry, okay, how many books have you now written out of ministry?
13.
Yes,
13.
thank you.
13. Actually, honestly, I wrote the bulk of them while still in that position. And then after I finished the 10, I was like, now what, God? And he said, oh, you have 3 more. And so, and there were, holiday books. So, Fall Festival, which the puppy girls have come with us to Fall Festival trunk or treats that we would do community wide. And I would have the girls dressed up as either mermaids and they were tacos one year. So those are so fun. Thanksgiving, the trip to my mom's house when she was in Oklahoma, and then Christmas. Again, they're places they've been, but they're fictional books.
Right.
And so Christmas, we were technically in Colorado in July, but I wrote my Christmas book from the perspective of Colorado because the mountains, and there is a North Pole in, I can't think of the name of that town, but we drove by it all the time. I'm like, we need to go to the North Pole. But then I almost wrote about it, but then I got to thinking, I bet there's probably some major copyrights if I start writing about the North Pole and, whatever town, Colorado. But yeah. So then I got the Lord, the Lord. It's crazy how he just did it. And the stories were there. I've always been a little on the extra imaginative side. And so it's just there. I don't know. And I don't know, it's him. He's the creative one, and he'll just use our experiences. He'll use our quirks. He'll use our stories. He'll use our dogs. He wants to be known, and he's like, where's the willing ones, And
That's
so
right. That's right.
I want to be that. Here I am, Lord. Here I am, Lord.
Gosh, and we are out of time, and I feel like I've still got at least 20 more questions that I can ask.
Talk.
I do want to put up the information because I know that you post a lot on Facebook and updates and links that we can follow. But I also want to give the folks, I popped it up earlier when you were talking about it, but I want to give an opportunity to go to the website because the devotional times that you post there and the free resources, take advantage of those, guys. Take advantage of this. This is something that, has been downloaded to her and she's sharing. And it's just, there's so many ways to share Jesus, and God has given you a pattern.
Yeah.
And I love the pattern, Traci. It is so uniquely your personality combined with Jesus's productivity to reach his children. And so thank you for coming on to the podcast with us. Thank you again for saying yes to me when I just called out of the blue and said, hey, I want to highlight you on I see Jesus in what you're doing. But one of the things, Traci, that Beth and I want to do is we want to champion the women who are saying yes to God.
Yes.
We want to celebrate you. We want the world to see what your yes is doing. And I love how God has given you everything that you needed. He didn't require you to come up with anything. He gave you all that you needed. All you had to do was say, yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And yes, I'll do it that way. Yes, I'll include that. He has the full recipe.
He does.
And when it comes to us, it's like this podcast exists for those who are among the called and the courageous. And you are both. It took courage to say yes.
Yeah.
And so we celebrate that with you today. And we hope and hope and hope. We would encourage you. Go to the website. You can get the books on Amazon, all 13 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if you can buy like a bulk of them, if you can buy like the whole set. Is there a set or?
There's not a set. My goal, like just to really quickly, my goal is to maybe do a first 5. My heart is to have a plushie. I want Molly and Lucy plushies to go with the books. And I've looked into it and they're kind of pricey. And I said, small beginnings, the Lord's rejoicing. So it's going to take some time, but I would love to do book bundle 1 through 5 with like a Molly plushie, and then book 6 through 10 with a Lucy plushie, and then the holiday series, just the 3 holiday series. So that's my goal. That's what I'm working towards, and I'm waiting for God's this is how you do it. So I'm just kind of in the waiting on that, but that's the goal.
Good.
Good. Sounds like we might have an update episode soon.
That's right.
I would love that.
So,
yeah.
Thank you so much for opening up your life and your story to us. What an encouragement. What an encouragement. Thank you. Thank you. We're so grateful, Traci.
Thank you.
And what an encouragement that there is no age group. There is no gender. There is no one forgotten. God has a plan to reach every child.
Yep.
And when he can reach them at the young age in preschool and in children's church, something that someone said one time, I'll never forget. He said, I think it was Reinhard Bonnke, but he said, when an old man is saved, a life is saved.
Mm-hmm.
But when a child is saved, a lifetime is also saved.
That's good.
That's really good.
It's very good, because these children, when they are transformed at such a young age, they have a lifetime to go fishing for Jesus.
Yeah. Foundation. It's foundation.
Thank you, Traci Jo.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Give Danny our love from Gordon and myself and the girls. And I look forward to meeting Molly and Lucy in person one day.
Okay, we'll come to Georgia. I'm there.
Hey, bring them on. Bring them on.
It's an adventure.
Thank you guys for. I hope this has been a blessing to you guys, as it has been. Beth and I are just really blessed. And Traci Jo, thank you again. And we hope to see those plushies out there soon.
We will. We will.
That's right. Yeah. Look her up. She's worth following. She's worth following. So.
Thank you, friend.
We love you. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.